Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special legislative session on November 24th, 2025. I will call this meeting to order. Um, First, would like to, um, there is an agenda. We'll see. There's agendas in the room, and I believe it's being shown online. There we go. Okay. The council should have access to it. Any amendments to the agenda as presented? Any conflicts of interest? None in the room. Any online? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
Approve.
Seconded.
Is that a motion, Councilmember Cologne?
Judgment.
Okay. Motion by Councilmember Cologne and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua is not with us at the moment. Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos is not with us. Councilmember Cologne.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 5-0. Okay. Before we get to public comments, I wanted to just, I know this is a special legislative session, and so we don't do the Pledge of Allegiance as a result, but wanted to say a few words since last Thursday on November 20th was a 2-year anniversary when we lost two children at Riverdale Park Elementary, Sky Sosa and Shalom Moba. They were ages 5 and 10 years old, and it happened literally a stone's throw away from where we are right now. My son it's not lost on me. My son is in the room in the back, and is just turned 7 years old. And so I think we'll always remember and feel for those parents and that family to get the worst call that they can possibly imagine, in a community that a lot of them had to witness it in real life. And I know it has stood and impacted severely this community. There's no sort of justice, there's no bringing those children back. And I know a lot of energy has gone into how can we make our roads safer and slower, and not just to honor them, but so that something like this may never happen again. And it's an ongoing process. And I encourage everyone to sort of bear with us as we try to, put into practice a lot of projects that are already identified and working in those areas. And so would like to hold a moment of silence for those two before we continue with our business. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have public comments. Again, for folks who are online, please raise your hand and you'll be recognized. And for those in the room, please come up to the front, unmute the mic, and you'll have the floor. Okay. Okay. Again, this is public comments for the legislative meeting. We'll also have a public comment section for the work session, which will happen right after the conclusion of this meeting. I'm seeing no public comments, then we'll move on to our next item, which is a legislative item regarding the donation to nonprofit organizations to support immigrants.
Good evening, Mayor and Yang, members of the council and of the community. This item is before you tonight because the last time we were with you and on October the 27th, the council authorized a $5,000 donation to Everyday Canvassing. And that they were the fiscal sponsor for the Prince George's County Immigrant Rights Collective. Unfortunately, we learned that they are unable to accept a donation from the town, from any government entity. And so what we're asking tonight is if we could utilize the $5,000 donation as a transfer into the Economic Development Fund for the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program, which is, you'll hear later on tonight that it's, we do have quite a few people registered for that program already.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council, or is there a motion on the table and then we can discuss after the motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Smith.
I'm wondering if staff could provide some insight. Why was the organization not able to accept funding from the town?
We don't have any other information, just that they're not able to accept it. They were willing to take the entire donation and give it to one family, but they weren't able to accept it for their operations. So
it's on their end, not our end.
yeah, it was a surprise to us. We didn't expect that.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from staff or from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Smith.
Councilmember
Foe.
Anytime that we can do anything to combat food insecurity, specifically in times like this, I think we should put our best foot forward and always target our farmers market program. I think being able to provide local agriculture to our residents is something that is truly remarkable. This program has always been, one of our favorites in this room, and just being able to get it started up for a month in these times, I think is going to be remarkably beneficial. So I am here for this.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council? Councilmember Lingua.
I concur with my colleague from the second ward, Mr.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the table then to authorize the transfer of $5,000 from the undesignated social concern line item to the Economic Development Fund for Farmers Market Dollars Plus program?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Smith.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the transfer of $5,000 from the undesignated social concern line item to the Economic Development Fund for the Farmers Market Dollars Plus program.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Smith and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion? The one question I have for staff is the $5,000 in terms of the runway that it will provide. Roughly speaking, I think we talked about that's like an additional few weeks in the program at the sort of existing burn rate that we were talking about before.
It would likely be less than a full week. Right now, and you'll learn in the presentation tonight, I believe we have 200 and some folks that we re-enrolled to launch it as the Plus program. And our previous experience was 24 to 25,000 a month. So it may buy us a week, but we fully anticipate we may see upwards of in the high 200s or so in terms of participants. So,
okay, thank you. Okay, any other comments from council? All right, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Okay. Next, we have in the special legislative meeting, any items of new business? Seeing none. Any items of unfinished business? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? So moved.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Cologne.
unfinished business, I'm appealing to the town manager to make sure that that street light over there to be completed. Thank you.
We can handle that as part of the work session, since there's nothing to actually vote on in that. But
Okay, thank you.
it's been noted. Okay. There was a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Was there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe, seconded by Councilmember Lingua. We'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. And that concludes the special legislative agenda. We will move directly into the work session. Right now, we'll call that into order at 7:12 p.m. on November 24th. This is a work session, which is slightly less formal as our legislative agenda. We've got a few topics on the agenda. And so the first item would just be to approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments or stated conflicts of interest for the agenda items?
I have neither.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other? Okay. The first item is the aforementioned Farmers Market Dollar Program update by Director Shelton.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. As we've discussed a little bit tonight, the Farmers Market Dollars program was reopened and expanded. And so after receiving this appointment, staff have sent out applications for both new applicants and returning applicants. So far, we've received 109 new applications and 129 returning applications. We're still trying to double check that there's no duplicates. Based on my rough quick estimate here, I think we have about 15 to 20 duplicates. So safe to say well over 220 applicants, both new and returning, have applied for the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program. We've already started loading up cards and sending them out to applicants that have submitted applications. And we've also worked with local grocers to accept the Farmers Market Dollar Plus as well. So far we have 3 of the 5 local grocers participating and having all of their point of sale systems activated. Those being La Grande, CC's, and Save Mart. We're still working with Mega Mart and Whole Foods to make sure that they would be able to receive the Farmers Market dollars as well. And if there are any questions about the program, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Director Shelton. Do you have a list of the places that have agreed to accept the dollars?
Absolutely. So the 3 so far are La Grande, CC's, and Save Mart.
Okay.
And then the other 2 were Mega Mart and Whole Foods that we're still working with. They've expressed interest at just about getting on the same page administratively with them.
Thank you. If there's anything, obviously, that council can do, talk to someone, let us know for sure. I think that makes sense. I think it's a good opportunity. And getting these businesses on board is different than the traditional program, right? Before it was just the farmers market.
That's correct. Before it was only vendors at the farmers market that were able to participate, but now we've expanded it to include grocery stores. The part of the reason why it was specifically for farmers market vendors initially was this is a program designed in response to the pandemic, and the farmers market was outside and less likely to encourage the spread of the virus. So now that we we have less of a risk, we were able to expand it to the grocery stores as well.
Thank you. That's great. That's great. Any comments from council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Oh,
We'll go Councilmember Smith first, and then Councilmember Cologne, you'll go next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering if staff could answer whether has the grocery store side of the program, has that been in effect long enough that we're seeing returns on that in terms of how much usage we're getting at those establishments versus the farmer's market? Or is it too new to be able to quantify that at the moment?
It's a little too new to quantify it at the moment, but I hope to have some more information either by the next time we meet or the week after that, certainly, and I'd be able to follow up with an email for more specifics on that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon. Appreciate that. I think this is great. You know, I think the Farmers Market Dollars program was always a great program that, you know, we didn't discontinue it because we could have continued it and just decided not to. Makes sense that limiting it to that location outdoors during the pandemic all makes sense. But as great as that program is, it depends on somebody being able to go grocery shopping between the hours of 3 and 7 one day a week. So allow opening it up to a broader range of establishments will definitely, I think, help folks be able to get the nutritional assistance they need. So compliments to staff for that innovation on the program. That's very extremely appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Cologne.
yeah, Mr. Mayor, I want to ask that if they can apply to Family Dollar and McDonald's. Because some people, when they have that card in the morning, they want to go to the McDonald's and get a breakfast. If they can extend it to Family Dollar and McDonald's, I think that will be fine for the people. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Is there, Steph, you have any thoughts in terms of the rationale for the rest or places that were selected?
We essentially, make sure my mic's on. We essentially follow guidelines for SNAP. And so this is about supplemental nutrition. So there used to be a program, I believe CCAR coordinated with restaurants. And that's just not historically been part of this program.
Thank you. So Councilmember, essentially mimicking the guidelines, which have rules against sort of prepared food, fast food, or sort of not eligible for supplemental nutritional assistance program. It typically is groceries, and using that as a, I think one of the rationales behind that as well is because the criteria, roughly at least in terms of being eligible for that, is sort of in the spirit in terms of the eligibility here. But I think it's in line with what the idea is. It's not necessarily a couple dollars for a meal. It's hopefully a couple dollars to support, grocery bill to sort of help a family.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Smith.
Understood on all that, makes sense on the McDonald's piece. I am wondering if staff have considered the Family Dollar piece or if there's a reason not to. Just from talking to my mom, who's generally, doesn't have the most income, and she knows I go to Walmart on this day when this thing is on sale. I go to Dollar Tree or Family Dollar to get these things. And there's certainly, I believe, and correct me if I'm mistaken, the Family Dollar would have grocery items that would qualify for SNAP if staff have explored that.
I'm not sure, sir. But Director Shelton, is that something you can look into?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to look into that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Councilor Millingwood?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Mr. Shelton, being that he's, in terms of his initial number crunching, what is the estimated amount of dollars monthly going out with this current number of applicants that we have now, or including the ones that have signed up? Just wondering if he's done the math on that, just out of interest, to see what this rate of use is going to be on a monthly basis.
Absolutely. So I believe I mentioned we had about 220, roughly speaking, applicants
Right.
now. And so then at $25, excuse me, $25 a week, that's $5,500 a week, and then for a month, that would be about 4 weeks. So that would be about 22. Excuse me. Oh, sorry, I'm coughing. Ugh. Pardon me.
It's right in the ballpark of $20,000 to $25,000 monthly.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we really need to have some discussions about among us to figure out how we're going to sustain this program with this demand.
Yeah, I know we talked about a budget outlay that basically gave us about um, a little over like 5 or 6 weeks. And then we'll revisit this. Would it be the December budget meeting or the December legislative meeting? Will we review, or is it a work session in December?
Well, we have the meeting next week,
December's
and then
legislative.
another meeting on December 16th. And we said we would get back to you at the end of the first week of December.
Okay.
Around December 6th is what we talked about the last time. And I will say that our finance team is finalizing a way for folks to donate to the Farmers Market Dollar Program. So we anticipate rolling that out. And then if there's any corporations that want to donate to the program as well. So that'll be a way to sustain it. And then I would encourage the council to think of this strategically in terms of, so we had the SNAP program that was on again, off again, on again, off again. And I'm not sure what the federal government's looking like after the expiration of their continuing resolution. Is that at the end of January?
30th of January.
Yeah. So I think we may have to, after we have this rolled out for a number of weeks, hit the pause button and then see what's coming. Just to recap, we started this relaunch with $32,000.
Mhm.
And then the mayor and council authorized us taking another 25,000.
Mhm.
So theoretically, that's a little more than 2 months. But then we don't have a continuing funding source for that. So we just have to, I would encourage us to be thinking strategically when the need happens. And it's my understanding from Director Shelton that we can load the cards relatively quickly. So if conditions change, even if we hit pause, then we can send something out saying your cards have been loaded. I think that's the right term. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And we're how many weeks into the program now, officially?
Director Shelton.
We're almost to 1 week. Actually a little bit over 1 week.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're in the beginning of this. And we knew going into this that it was not going to be the sustainable funding. There were no ARPA funds or other sort of federal government funds to support this long term. And it was a stopgap measure. And so it's a good point of we don't want to sort of turn it off immediately since it's going to be this process of sort of getting it up and running. But once it is, being nimble enough to be able to pause and turn on as it needs. And it's great to hear that there's opportunities for potential for folks to donate. I know a lot of people have reached out about, should I bring canned goods somewhere, or is there a more sustainable weather? And so if food or just actually giving funds is will help this program, I think that's a good option. So I'm glad to hear that we're exploring that as an option.
Mr. Mayor, may I just add
Yes.
just one additional thing? So we have received the food pantry boxes, and Public Works is working on those to get them installed. And so as soon as they're installed, we'll be advertising where people can take their donations.
Fantastic. Okay. Any other comments on this or questions for Director Shelton? Council member.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask Mr. Shelton, estimated date on the, for when, if there are donations from the public, when they would be able to do that?
Oh, I I think that'd probably be a better question for finance department, but I'll let the town manager respond.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll address that. in
Whomever.
terms. So I've talked with Paul about this, and I think we should be able to do it relatively quickly. And by that, sir, I'm thinking within a week. We have the holiday coming up, but we have talked about this in terms of how we would set it up, the IRS letters that we would issue to folks who are making donations, because it would be a deductible donation and things like that. So I
So,
think we have a process in place. We just have to figure out what vendor we're going to use. Instead of taking cash here, we would prefer to do this online.
okay.
And work through a vendor.
So ballpark 1st of December?
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, possibly correct. It depends on how long it takes us to get it. It would take us to have it set up.
Okay. So that's a definitely maybe.
Definitely, maybe.
Okay.
All right, so
Alrighty.
a week may be optimistic, but I think with the holiday and the short week this week,
Alright.
that plays in.
Okay.
But we understand the need and the urgency, and we want to raise funds to make this last as long as possible.
Yeah.
Thank you, council member.
Thank you.
The only other question I have on this is the donations, since you're using the vendor would be just to sort of accept the payments, but there won't be a nonprofit sort of accepting this in terms of people being able to matching programs with like employers or anything like that. With the town, because the town doesn't have it's not a 501c3, right?
The donations to us are
Yeah.
tax deductible
Okay.
if they're for a specific program that's for a public purpose. And so it's our understanding that these donations would be tax deductible, and we would issue an IRS letter.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Council member.
Just if I could dwell on that point for a minute, what I think you're getting at, and I had the same question because we have this program where I work where you can designate a charity, and if I give a certain amount, my employer matches the designation there. But the key is it has to be a 501c3 designation. My understanding that this program, because it's coming to the town, like we're not using a C3 as a pass through, it's coming, the vendor's processing the payment to the town, so it wouldn't be eligible
Yes.
for a thing like that.
I don't believe so, sir.
Okay.
Unless, if we see a significant response where larger employers want to do something like that, then we can always talk to a 501c3 and see if they partner with us as a pass-through.
Sure. Yeah, if certainly support that scenario if that arises. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Or getting a 501c3 set up for the town. Add that to the long list of things. All right, thank you. I know that if there's nothing else on this, thank you, Director Shelton, for the presentation and the update. Obviously, it's important. We were willing to vote on it without having all the information because we understand the importance of it. And so good to hear that the program is up and running. It's it's a double-edged sword in terms of I'm glad that there are a lot of people who have signed up for it. So the awareness and the outreach is working. But it breaks my heart a little bit knowing that the level of need is probably only going to increase. And so we'll do what we can for sure. And I think we'll be revisiting this often, I think. And hopefully the extra $5,000 will maybe give us a week or so, based on your calculations, a little less than a week. Okay. I know we have on our agenda from new business folks from Leon's Grill and Bar here. I know I see you here, sir. I know that Mike Herman just stepped out. And so if the council is okay with it, I propose that we maybe move that session up before at least before maybe the work session agenda. So maybe after public comments, or we can do it before public comments to give the public an opportunity to comment on it in depth.
Mr. Mayor, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that too, Mr. Mayor, and I like the idea of moving it ahead of public comments so that folks can respond if necessary.
Okay. Mr. Herman, we if it's okay with you, would like to move the new business section up from after all of the work sessions items to right now. Unless you protest and you want to stay here, Okay, so we'll move that up now. So right now we'll do our new business section, which is Leon's Grill and Bar LLC on 4415 East West Highway.
I have packets, so I just wanted to distribute it. It's the letter that was sent out, but this is also the schematic inside the restaurant, as well as the photo up front, where you won't see it before. I want to thank you, the mayor and council, for giving us this opportunity. My name is Michael Herman. I am proud to represent Leon's Grill and Bar. I have seated to my left Jasbir Singh, who is the 100% owner of Leon's Grill and Bar. He is also the property owner as well. He owns that under a different LLC, but it doesn't matter. But he has the right to give permission for the use of the building. And he is going to be applying for a liquor license, and that's why we're here. The restaurant, as I indicated previously, is going to be a 78-seat Salvadoran Mexican bistro. It's going to be a tablecloth restaurant, so it's not a fast food joint. It's not intended to be as such. It's going to be a more upscale kind of environment. Mr. Singh has been involved in food preparation, food distribution, both in Montgomery County as well as in Northern Virginia. Yes. He recently acquired a property, another homestead in Hyattsville. So he knows that he's going to be spending 40 to 50 hours a week here. This is going to be his primary business that he's going to be doing. So he realizes that commuting from Germantown is not something that he plans to do on a regular basis. But we expect that this will be moving very quickly. The reason that I attached to this the blueprints, because there's already been filing to DPI and their resubmission of drawings, because that's often the case when you go back and forth. He expects that the full building permit should probably be in place within the next couple weeks, and that the build out is going to be very quick. As many of us know, we were very sad to see the bank building close because it was a very prominent location. And it also invited sort of, I don't want to say vagrancy, but it invited, sort of a little bit of vandalism there by the drive-through and other things that happened to the building that happens late at night, because other than the McDonald's, pretty much everything else around there closes at normal business hours. But in any event, it's a great adaptive reuse. I don't know about the idea of sitting in a vault and eating food, but in any event, this is putting into productive use a building that's been out of function. I want to say about 2 years, but I don't remember. It might be a wee bit longer than that.
I think it's longer than that.
It might be longer than now. Yeah, they took the Truist, closed that branch. They did it exclusively over at Prince George's Plaza. Anyway, it might be a little longer than that, but in any event, we want to, what we're trying to do is to do what is equitable and just, and many of the other businesses that have applied for and received liquor license. It's intended to be open from 11 a.m. for lunch to 10 p.m. through dinner. And it's not going to be like a bar. We're not seeking entertainment licenses or anything like that. It's not dissimilar from an earlier application I brought to you about a year or so ago for a different restaurant that opened here in Riverdale Park. We are looking for a letter of support. The reason is because the liquor board, or the Board of License Commissioners, commonly known to as the liquor board, is now a competitive process. So there are up to 3 licenses that they'll issue per cycle. And the cycle that we're in is the beer, wine, liquor, Class B. That it's every 3 months that's open. and then they process the applications, and then there's a competitive hearing in the next couple months. That'll be after the first of the year. But letters of support have been very instrumental. The letter of support that from the town of Riverdale Park actually heightened the eligibility of their last one. And when we were in a competitive process, there were more applicants last time than there were licenses to give out. And we want a new business to be successful. So Mr. Singh is here. I'm here to answer any questions you, the town manager, or any of the staff might have. And but we are hopeful of getting a letter of support from you from the next session.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to ask Mr. Herman, to make sure we understand specifically that you're talking a Class B liquor license is what's being applied for?
Yeah, Class B beer, wine, liquor.
Beer, wine, liquor.
On sale,
On sale, no carry out.
no carryout.
Okay, so it's just like, drink, whatever served in the building with meal or separately on its own.
Right, it might be the first place that has a drive-through that's not being used as a drive-through. Its drive-through is not as part of the intended purpose of the restaurant.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure it was clear on that.
Only on
what
site.
type. Okay, only on site. Hearing date is when?
I believe we are filing the application this week. The hearing date, I'm trying to remember because of the holidays. I can't remember if it's in January or February. But I know that we want to get whatever letter of submission. If you get the letter to us, if there's a recommendation for approval, then we will resubmit that to the liquor board. We're submitting the application in earnest tomorrow,
Okay.
which is the deadline for the cycle.
Okay.
So you would need your letter by tomorrow?
No, that's what I was saying. It would be enormously helpful, but I don't think that, given the fact that you're in a work session, and I
Right.
don't know whether this happens in work session or legislative, if we get the approval next week and we get the letter next week, I don't see that as a problem. We will submit it subsequently.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This looks fantastic. First of all, I could say one of my favorite restaurants in the country is called The Broker. It's in the basement of the First National Bank building in Denver, Colorado, downtown. So I have actually dined in a bank vault, and it's actually really cool. You'd be surprised. So this looks exciting. It's definitely more exciting than some of the other projects that were pitched to us for the site, such as drive-through only Starbucks and drive-through only Taco Bell in an area that I'm sure you have discovered, and we worked a little bit on that, Mr. Herman, but this is an area designated for pedestrian-oriented development, and I think this place, this business certainly meets that aim more than a drive-through only store. Just a couple quick questions. Do y'all plan to remove the drive-through at all?
Not at this time, but maybe eventually.
Okay.
In the future.
Okay. Yeah, just under the MUTC guidelines, once a drive-through is, if I remember correctly, and you probably know this better than I do, Mr. Herman, once the drive-through is, if there's not an existing drive-through, a future business can't add one there. I certainly hope there is not a need for a future business because this place is going to be there for a long time. But if the drive-through went away, I wouldn't think that's the worst thing.
I don't think that the applicant has any desire to keep it, but the actual anticipated build-out costs are between 650 and 800,000 with the acquisition of equipment and stuff. And that's on top of course, acquiring the property.
Yeah.
So if that is on the cards, because it might be a visual improvement,
Sure.
I don't think it's the money's there at the moment to make that a priority.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest you go out of your way to do it. But if in the process of doing something else, it went away, that wouldn't be horrible. But again, I hope it's not a problem because we hope you're here, assuming all this goes well, for a very long time and that we don't have to worry about a future property owner or establishment there.
And that's the councilman from the ward that where your building's located. So
yeah, very excited. We're bringing lots of restaurants to Ward 1. It's fantastic. Then just one quick question: in your other establishments in Virginia or elsewhere, have you had any complaints filed with the State Labor Board?
No.
Outstanding. Love to hear that. This sounds great, Mr. Mayor. I would love to support this. We know, of course, that, it's hard to keep a restaurant open given the margins on food without beer, wine, and liquor, where the margins are a bit better. Good to hear you're having a at least productive experience with DPI. Some of our establishments in town have not had that experience. So, and they had thought that they were having a good productive relationship with DPI, and then that changed. Which is all to say, if you do encounter that, let us know. We can reach out to the county delegation and usually grease the skids a little bit to get things to move. And I'd certainly be happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions or comments? Okay. I appreciate you joining and purchasing the property and having a vision for it. Has been stated before, we're actively looking for opportunities to, grow the community, grow our business footprint, and so for some of these buildings that have been around for a long time in prime locations like that, in some ways that's probably the first major building that people will, come into town if you're coming from west to east. And so would love for it to be sort of a destination that people come in. I would be in support of this as well. I think as my colleague mentioned, we know the importance of the beer and wine liquor license for the lifeblood of restaurants. And so we can work with staff to the drafting of a letter and getting it signed as soon as possible.
Thank you. If for any reason it is available tomorrow, I mean, I could take it, but I was planning on dropping off stuff, the package to the liquor board in the morning. So probably anytime subsequent, in the next week or so will probably be fantastic.
Okay. The only other question I have in terms of the, you mentioned it was competitive. This is, we're competing with, I guess, the entire county at this point. Okay.
Yeah, what happens, the way they've been doing it now, for the on-sale licenses that are not under any sort of particular receiving area, because there are certain designated areas that are receiving areas where it's not competitive. But for the general applications, they can get as many as 7 or 8 license applications countywide, but they can only consider, my understanding is they can't approve more than 3. And so what they do at each meeting, the actual hearings, they actually evaluate the package and the presentation that as a board they vote on, and they score them all. And then the top 3 are deemed eligible for license. And that's the way it works. I've been very fortunate that when I've been in front of the liquor board, I believe in presenting a very good package of always good people of good, moral character. So we've been very successful in getting them highly scored. So it is competitive, and we are competing with, restaurants and other places outside of Riverdale Park.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Town Manager.
just in terms of process, we would look to have this on your agenda next week because the council will have to vote on this since it's a one-off for a particular business.
Yep.
And so we can put this on your agenda next week, and then we could have a letter shortly thereafter.
Certainly. Do you need me to appear next week, or is we've given this the work session? Is that if you have sufficient information?
I think we have enough. Yeah. The packet helps.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Just Mr. Mayor, will that be, or staff, will that be on the consent agenda or the main agenda?
From a staff perspective, it would be on the regular legislative agenda.
From a process standpoint, if it's possible to put it on the consent agenda, I would support that. If not, that's fine. We can deal with it in the main legislative agenda as well.
Councilmember Lingua.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make aware to Mr. Singh. I'm sure he probably knows this already, being that you've been in this business for some time and you've been in different locations, and I'm sure some of them have been as unique as what you're looking at here. So which I would imagine, but I just want to make sure I always ask the obvious question that you're one who's very attentive to knowing thy neighbor and who is, who is living next to you, or what, be it business or residential property or whatever, that is next to where your property is.
I met him, a neighbor.
Okay,
Yes, I met him. He's happy.
okay, all right, that's,
Yeah, he got happy that, the property got clean. I got all the trees clean.
okay,
I cut all the grass and everything. It's very
Okay.
appealing than what it was like with the big grass, the
Okay.
trees, everything was growing into his house.
I see. Well, that is,
His name is Mark.
that's great to hear. I appreciate that. I know, being that I was once at a business where I was working at a business located in an area of Georgetown where we had residential properties next to us, behind us, across the street from us. And it was very much incumbent upon us to make sure that, we fit in well with the neighborhood, in the sense that, we were making sure the sidewalk was as clear as what everyone else was doing. So, and just making sure that we were boring, so to speak. So, well, that's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much, and thank you for adjusting the calendar to accommodate us. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll have public comments for the work session. If you're online, you can raise your hand and be recognized for public comments. Okay. Seeing no hands raised, and I don't know if my son will make public comments, but otherwise it's just the locals. Okay. We'll move forward. I know Ms. Katz is here and she might have wanted to say something, but we'll move forward. And if we need to circle back on an item, we can, in the interest of time. So let's go to our first work session discussion item, which is the authorization for town manager to sign in confirmatory and corrective deed and certificate of conveyance for the Beale Circle property on 4513 Rittenhouse Street.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council and the community. No action is requested tonight. At the December 1st legislative meeting, staff will seek authorization to sign a confirmatory and corrective deed and a certificate of conveyance for the town's Beale Circle property, which is the address is 4513 Rittenhouse. I'm going to walk you through this kind of administrative process that landed us here. So the town received a grant from the state of Maryland, so our bond bill for the Beale Circle Stormwater Project. The second step in that process is a grant agreement, and that process is handled by the Department of General Services. DGS informed us that the SDAT record must match the recipient. So the SDAT record says that the owner information is Riverdale Mayor and Common Council. Because that did not say Town of Riverdale Park, they could not proceed. Staff went back, despite this being clearly municipal property. We asked, certainly this has come up in the past. This is a very old property, but we still were required to go to SDAT, so State Department of Assessments and Taxation. So staff reached out to SDAT and asked about simply updating their record because it, again, is very clearly a municipal property. It's owned by the Town of Riverdale Park. The town's charter clarifies that the Riverdale Mayor and Common Council is equivalent to the Town of Riverdale Park. Despite all of those discussions, we landed back at requiring a confirmatory and corrective deed and a certificate of conveyance. So staff reached out to the town attorney who drew up these documents. There was a little bit of commentary, I'll save that, but this is a little bit, this is an interesting process, but we need to have this done in order to move forward with the grant agreement for our Beale Circle project. So this certainly is not the only property we're going to run into that with, and I will point out that I believe this property that we're sitting in is also, the property owner is Riverdale Mayor and Common Council, so perhaps there was a change in the process. But this is what we need to do now in order to move this forward as quickly as possible. So unfortunately, this is what we need to do. If the mayor and council give authorization on Monday night, the town manager will sign those documents. We will get them to the town attorney as quickly as possible and hopefully put this behind us for now. We may have to do this again with other town properties, but at least we'll know what the process is and we'll be able to make those changes as needed.
Thank you, Deputy Town Manager.
Mayor.
Councilmember, all the mics are on, so people.
This
people
is
got
just one of those. This is one of those issues that makes me so glad that we have remarkable staff. Thank you, Director Barnes. Anybody attached to this, this is ridiculous. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would echo the comments of my colleague. Thanks for staff for tracking this down and figuring out this very obvious, should be easy to solve problem for us to make sure that we can put this grant to good use. Lord knows we need it with our stormwater issues. And I think this is going to be a big benefit for the town. So thank you for tracking it all down. Let us know if we need to do anything else like this for other properties. I'm particularly thinking of the town center project, though I think. Actually, let me not speak on where the money is for that one because I don't remember exactly. But if this comes up again, let us know, and we should definitely expedite getting it done. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Very quickly, I know first things first, you're going to take care of that specific property first. My question is, Mr. Mayor, being that there's the realization and the recognition that there are other properties that are in this same status, is staff looking at ways to address this all at one time? Also reaching out to the third district council, county councilman's office to try and find a way to take care of this in a streamlined fashion of the sort.
Yeah, and to add to that question, I guess the bigger, there's a cost associated with this, obviously, with legal. So I think it's a worthwhile, since this was not always, I guess before we answer that question, the first question I want to ask is that you mentioned that you thought this was a newer process. Is the fact that we have grant money, because we did changes to this building, which you're saying was under the similar thing, and that wasn't an issue with was it DPI, or is it a different department that is the reason why we were running into this? So DGS had this issue?
Yeah, it's two different departments of state government that have two different processes that are just unfortunately in conflict for us. There was no easy way around this. There was no way around it. We exhausted every opportunity. We asked the very obvious question, with this being municipal property, can this simply be, fixed administratively? And so that answer was no. So in this case, we need to move forward with these documents. SSTAT did say that we could do one confirmatory deed for all of the properties. That does not sound necessarily correct. So I'd like to explore that with the town attorney and his team just to see. But we did include in the cover memo that we'll add this to the work plan and we'll start working on it incrementally to resolve the situation. If it's as simple as doing one confirmatory deed and updating all the SSTAT records, we would definitely be happy with that. But with the, we don't want to delay any longer as it relates to the Beale Circle property. We want to make sure that we get the grant agreement in place and we move forward as quickly as possible with that project.
Councilmember?
Yeah, I wasn't really seeing it when I was bringing that up. In terms, I mean, I understand what you're saying about one, trying to do an all-in-one. I was more thinking that if there are X number of properties that need to have this done, there are X number of applications that go in, yet they're all considered at the same time. That's what I'm looking. That's what I was more thinking of, as opposed to trying to, put all properties on one.
Got it.
one application.
And I think we can ask that question because there will be a cost associated with this. And that's one thing that the town manager had brought up. That's something we need to think about. We don't know how much the cost is right at the moment. It
Okay.
won't be, I don't believe it'll be exorbitant, but when you multiply that by multiple
Yeah.
properties, it could be. And that was part of our argument to both DGS and to SSTAT, like this is going to cost the town and the taxpayers money for something that is very clearly an administrative item that should be very easy to fix. But this is a process that we have to go through. So we'll get through this one. We'll see how
Right.
much it costs and we'll kind of understand the process a little better. And then we can ask those same questions, just like you said, Councilman.
Okay.
If we could do them, all of them and reviewed all at the same time. But the time was what we were concerned
Right.
about most right now. So this is why we're asking for just the action on this one property and then we'll move forward with the
Okay.
others.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you. Any other comments from council or the public on this? Okay. This is unrelated to the naming of Beale Street East and all that stuff. They didn't bring that up. Okay. Don't bring it up then. Okay. We'll leave that where it is. Okay. I guess that's it for so this will be on the agenda for Monday. Okay. Thank you. Moving back to the agenda, Ms. Katz, I don't know if you had something or did you want to speak in public comments? We had it while you were out. Okay. Okay, sounds good. Next up on the agenda, we have I believe it is the Sister City. Talking about the Sister City program, reaffirmation of the Sister City affiliation.
Good evening again. At the last mayor and council meeting, former Mayor Vernon Archer talked about the Sister City program. And this program has been in effect for quite a while. It began in 2008. It had been a very fruitful relationship. There have been exchanges with different delegations and teachers. And included on the cover memo are some pictures of some of the visits that we've had most recently. I know we have some folks on the council who haven't had that experience quite yet. During the last meeting, the mayor and council seemed open to continuing the relationship and potentially reaffirming the relationship. Staff drew up a resolution to do that. So if the mayor and council is interested in continuing with the Sister City relationship with the Apala Guatemala, then the resolution will be available for adoption on Monday night.
Thank you, Deputy Town Manager. Any comments? Councilmember Smith?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a great program. I think, present times specifically demand that we continue to do things like this that express solidarity with our neighbors in Central and South America. So would certainly support continuing and reaffirming this program.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingua.
I'm not going to repeat the sentiments I shared when Mayor Archer was here afterwards. And I would wholeheartedly support this.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any comments from any other council members? Yeah, I would echo this as well. I think it's there's a lot of value in cultural exchanges, and being able to start this process again, I think would be beneficial. And then I think I look forward as a council thinking through, how might we represent this or sort of action this in a way that makes sense. Since it's a pretty blank slate in terms of what could be done. And so I think it's up to us to sort of determine, working obviously with our counterparts in Apala, what they would like to do. And then I know the last thing for me is getting a copy of the note that the mayor sent to me. Would love to get a copy of that and respond. I was thinking probably it'd be good to include that we voted on this thing and make it official as part of that. So we can share that whenever that's ready.
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, former Mayor Vernon Archer, who I believe started the program, he reached out to me again today, just asking what next steps would be. I advised him that you'd be considering this tonight, and if approved, you'd be voting next week on the resolution. And he seems very grateful that the council's looking to possibly do this, at least at the time of our conversation or our text exchange. And so I think he would be looking for a meeting, a virtual meeting between yourself and members of the council and perhaps members of the municipality there.
Fantastic.
I mean, Annie Paula.
I think to meet virtually first, sir.
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, in the virtual meeting,
Yes.
The mayor, members of the council with himself and members of their council. Is that
I
what I'm
believe so, yes.
understanding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great.
To have a virtual meeting. And then I've talked to him about staff meeting with them as well.
Okay.
Good. Great.
Great.
Okay. We'll put this on the agenda for Monday the 1st. All right. Moving on to our next agenda item. We have the Lafayette to 47th Street Light Project, authorization to pay Pepco for 10 LED lights on Pepco poles and increase the task order contract with Mead and Hunt and Icon Electrical Contracting, LLC.
Director Lewis.
Thank you and good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. We're not requesting any action this evening. Instead, I'd like to provide an update on this project and highlight 2 items that will require council action at the next legislative meeting. This project includes installing 13 town-owned pedestrian-style lights on Lafayette Avenue between Queensberry and Nicholson, and adding 10 lights to existing Pepco poles on 47th Avenue from Nicholson to Longfellow. The town executed a task order contract with Mead and Hunt to complete the lighting analysis, to determine the number and spacing of lights, and to prepare the design plan. And the town entered into a contract with Econ Electrical to install the town-owned lights. The work to install the town-owned lights is currently underway and expected to be completed by the end of the calendar year. Pepco charges a fee to install lights on its poles. For this project, the cost is $20,334, which covers the conversion of 6 existing high-pressure sodium fixtures to LED at 3,000 Kelvin, which is the town standard, and the installation of LED light fixtures on 4 Pepco poles that currently do not have lights. Once the fee is paid, Pepco will schedule the work. We have no control of when that actually happens, but they'd like to promise between 2 and 4 months. During the pre-construction meeting with the engineer and contractor, we observed that several markings of underground utilities were in different locations than previously shown. As a result, several of the street light locations had to shift. These adjustments required additional engineering, field work, and design changes, which also increased material and labor costs to the contractor. To address these changes, we need a change order with Mead and Hunt, totaling $6,000, and a change order fee for Icon Electric totaling $16,000. And with the cost of the Pepco lights, an additional $42,334 is required to complete this project. The original project budget is $240,000, and those funds are fully committed. The additional expenses for this project can be covered through the street light acquisition CIP, which after covering this $42,000 and plus costs will have at least $90,000 to purchase additional street lights that may be needed to replace damaged ones. Staff will return at the upcoming legislative meeting next week to request authorization for the mayor and council to sign the Costco cost letter and the contract change orders. And with that, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lewis. Any questions for the director? Council member?
Just reading it again, and it's still sinking in the amount. The amount we're looking at is per pole, correct?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you too well.
The amount that you're saying, the 42,000, that is per pole?
No, no. So we're asking for that 42,000 breaks out in this way. We need an additional $6,000 to cover the additional engineering costs.
Okay.
As a result of the changes that were made in the field, and then additional $16,000 to the contractor, whose contract is about $195,000. The
So I
changes
just-
that we had
I
to
read that
make
wrong.
affected that, plus the cost of Pepco lights.
My apologies.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, council member. Any other comments for Director Lewis? Okay. You know, we know we're working through this. I guess the only question is, you mentioned the $90,000 that will happen after these funds. Is the $90,000 remaining after the 42,000 or?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we'll
Right.
still have
Currently,
that.
we have about 145,000 in streetlight acquisition, so we can cover this additional cost for the streetlight projects, as well as have a sufficient amount of funds left to purchase new poles for replacement. And that's the $90,000 that would remain in the CIP project if we paid the 42,000 after this out of this account.
Thank you. And then any idea in terms of like roughly how much we spend on streetlights? You know, is there a buffer, or like we want to have X amount in buffer for the event that our sort of normal maintenance for streetlights across the town?
We usually like to have between 5 and maybe 8 street lights available at any time. And usually we need them to replace damaged street lights. Our lights get hit more than you would expect.
And the cost of that is around
So it costs about $3,500 for each street light for the entire unit. The LED head, the pole, the mounting, or the mount, or the base of it. So
Yeah.
that's the cost of the pole. And then there's installation costs when we have to replace them.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Director. Appreciate the update, and we'll have this on the agenda for the 1st.
Thank you very much.
Okay. The first agenda is filling up quick. That's how it happens. Just off other stuff. All right. In terms of agenda, what's left is the FY27 budget development and preparation calendar.
Director Smith.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. Tonight, staff is sharing the FY 2027 Budget Development and Preparation Calendar. No action is requested this evening. This is simply an opportunity to outline the roadmap, deadlines, and public engagement process for the FY 2027 budget. This year's process continues our strong focus on transparency and community involvement. The FY 2027 calendar features 15 public meetings, providing an opportunity for the council and residents to comment, ask questions, or offer feedback. We'll also publish notice in the town crier and share updates across the town communication platforms. We look forward to engaging with the council and community throughout this process and presenting a responsible and transparent and forward-looking budget for FY 27. And if you have any questions, do let me know.
Thank you, Director Smith. Any questions for Director Smith? Councilmember Lingua?
Just an observation, Mr. Mayor, and I can sum it up in one word. Mondays. I see everything is just lining up on Mondays. I see that Mr. Smith is smiling.
We picked up from where we started last year, and I think most people appreciated that we did choose Mondays. So we wanted to piggyback off of that, and yes, we wanted to piggyback off of that.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to see that, there's obviously a lot of opportunities for folks to weigh in on the budget. I don't think people may realize the opportunities that they have. This is not something that's made in secret. It's literally, you look at the agenda, starting today, there's a little bit every month with opportunities to weigh in. So I definitely encourage everyone to sort of talk about it, bring it up. It should be, and maybe even not just maybe how easy it is to participate or give your feedback. I think there's sometimes an assumption that there's some formal process. You have to go through a bunch of hoops. Sort of all feedback is taken, whether they're email or in person, or you stop by or you come with your donation. Maybe we leave a comment box for your money donations. If you have any comments with the budget, you can put it in there as well. Whatever it is, but I think it's great that we have this because obviously it's super important. It is the lifeblood of what we do. Okay, thank you, Director Smith. With no other
Thank you.
comments from council, we'll move forward on this. The last item is the minutes. We've got a couple different minutes from previous meetings. I hope that folks have the opportunity to review them and make any comments. Please send them to Deputy Town Manager Barnes, and she'll make updates to them before they are preserved for all eternity. Okay. Any comments on the minutes? Questions on them? Okay. We've already done new business, and so the next item is unfinished business. Council rules of procedure. So again, this is sort of a public service announcement. One of the things that we talked about a few months ago in terms of for this group, for our council, what does it mean to, what are the rules that not only govern us, but also that direct us, that give guidance? Like I mentioned before, this is our opportunity not only to lay out the logistics of, we have hybrid meetings now. When are our meetings? What does a quorum look like? The town staff has been gracious to sort of pull together examples from almost all of our surrounding municipalities who all have something like this sort of formal on the books. We do not. And so there's an opportunity for us to discuss that. I think a lot of things are straightforward, but there are things that will be great conversations to have with this group, because we need to sort of agree on this. This is what we are sort of signing ourselves up for, as well as, future councils as well. I think, so everything is on the table. I know that we'll probably keep this on the agendas moving forward until we sort of, vote on something like this. And I think one thing that we could do is potentially breaking this up so that we try to not wait until the document is, 100% perfect, but sort of doing it in sections so that we aren't, right now I think we're kind of in this, I don't say limbo, but we're basically operating off of Robert's rules. But it doesn't say much about, that doesn't give us much direction in terms of how we, our purpose, how we show up. There's a lot of gray area that aren't necessarily covered there. So would love to, if there's any initial thoughts from folks in terms of items that they want to cover or anything like that, happy to have a discussion here since we have the time on our agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Smith.
I may be the first person to ever be giddy to walk into a meeting and see a brand new copy of Robert's Rules of Order, but I'm exactly that kind of nerd, and so just want to thank staff for sourcing this from us. I'm like legitimately going to be reading this on the train for the next several weeks. I'm very excited about this, so thank you to staff.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingua.
Well, Mr. Mayor, with all that eagerness, I would inquire of our colleague from the first board, if he had any thoughts on, how we should go ahead and proceed in terms of setting up a structure for what you were talking about, taking what portions and delving into them, comparing to what it is other municipalities do in those areas and things like that.
Mr. Mayor, I think folks on the council know I'm a huge basketball fan. I would great person to watch a game with. I'm not the best person to come to advice on how to perfect your jump shot. So look in that same spirit, look forward to working with the council to collaborate on,
Okay.
how we would modify the rules of order work specifically for our council.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have the expertise to perfect your jump shot or to
Oh, no.
recommend exactly how we should set it up.
Well, I just thought maybe if there were thoughts that my colleague had, just in general, I mean, kind of more spaghetti on the wall at this point, as opposed to any definitive steps forward,
Yeah.
for us to consider.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember.
And whatever modifications we make, I would just ask that we preserve privileged and incidental motions. I think those are very important. They can sometimes slow things down, but they are important. I know some folks, as they modify Roberts, will modify those, and particularly to ensure speed in a meeting. And I think that's important too. We don't want to, take people's time unnecessarily, but those are also particularly important sections of Roberts, as I'm aware of the rules. So that would be my one recommendation tonight.
Do you have a page number that you're talking about? Or
Chapters 7 and 8, actually. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I mean, you can check me in the contents, but I believe it's
No,
chapters 7 and 8.
I will take my colleague at its word.
No, thank you. I would say, one, I appreciate that. So I know you're joking, but you're serious as well, and I think that's important. What I will do is come together with a draft document at some point and sort of share a working document with the council. We'll pull some thoughts together, at least to get us started. I know it's easier to respond to something on paper than to think about something in the abstract. So we'll work on that. But as you read your new copies of Robert's Rules, this is my second one, so I'll have this now in every location that I'm in multiple rooms in the house. Take a look through and definitely see what makes sense. Robert's Rules is the standard because it's used in so many different, parliamentary settings. And so a lot of things work, and there's some things that, for a body like ours, having meetings that we're trying to get a lot of stuff done on an agenda, it can be tough if we have, each person is allotted 10-minute conversations or comment periods. Per Roberts, you are entitled to that, but we can see how it doesn't necessarily fit us completely. And so we'll want to be thoughtful of all of that. But for me, I know what I'm really sort of impassioned about is not just expedition. It's one of them days.
Expeditious.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not just making the meetings go quicker, but also, codifying what we're trying to do. They also serve as mission statements for us as well as a town. So we operate in a certain way, almost as we're all at large, but that's not written down anywhere. And then I also think there's opportunities to make the meetings a little more predictable for the public to participate in. Like I'm a firm believer in, let's have public comments at a certain point every single time. We can even have, that the meetings end at a certain time. And if we hit that point, we have to vote to continue it. So again, trying to be thoughtful so folks who are participating can kind of guide their schedule. Right now, we'll have people come in and then it's just like, ooh, you know, they're in the back just hoping and praying that we get around to where we get to. So I think there's opportunities to do that, especially I think as we do this hybrid fashion, our participation, I hope, will continue to increase and making it easier for folks to participate. As well as what does it mean if the whole council is remote or town staff still be here? If I'm remote, can we still do it? Does a person, like, these are all things we need to sort of talk through. And if I'm not available, if the vice mayor is not available, like what rules do we do in terms of who becomes chair? So there's a bunch of little things like that, and then special snowflake things that work well for Riverdale Park. So we'll talk all about that. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments on the council rules of procedure? Anyone on council? Anyone at all? Councilmember Vo?
I enjoyed what we did this evening. There was a member of our community present. We moved that agenda item up. I think that is always good to move in that general direction because I feel like it gets issues that need to be dialogued out of the way first. So I believe that there are people here to speak on behalf of things that we should consider moving agenda items around to facilitate the rest of their evening as well. I just like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilmember?
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to ask if you what would be your desire to have this process concluded, in what time frame? Or do you want to leave that as an open question?
Well, it depends on, if you all agree with everything I write, I mean, we'll get it done in a meeting, right? But I think it probably comes down to, my guess is there's some things, most things will go pretty quickly. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll have to rely on our colleague in the first ward who, with highlights and bookmarks for particular things that we may want to include or call out. I think it'll be helpful probably to have like a little sort of shorthand for Roberts for folks who may not be familiar with things. We typically use a handful, but there are a lot of other things that we probably should use more often. Some of the contentious things I think will be around how do we, when bad things happen or if we have like outbursts, do we conclude the meeting? Is there things about kicking people out of meetings? We take a lot for granted that like things are pretty good, but those are things to consider as well. Length of dialogue, topics of dialogue that's sort of considered. There's a couple of things that we may want to have some discussion around, but I think, and that's why we might do it in sections so that we're not just hung up on a particular topic for a while. We may say, hey, let's go with 65%. That'll get us moving forward, and we can add a couple other things in time. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll look towards, we may need a history lesson from you as well, just from your time on council, any feedback that you have as well. I think that'll be helpful to give us some guidance. Okay. So with that'll conclude our unfinished business. And next up, we have our reports, and then we will end. So first up is the mayor's report. A lot's been on my mind in the last few days, and even few weeks, even going back to Veterans Day. Thanks again for all of those, the town staff are sort of pulling that event together, and it's always an honor to see so many of our veteran community come out. We even had whether they may not have been able to come out into the cold, but still pulled up. Was it Mr. Williams, JD Williams, JD Williams, to come out, and he sort of listened from the car, but he just wanted to be close, and his son wanted him to be there as well, and folks coming up afterwards and appreciating the town doing this. I spoke on a bunch of different topics that I tried to pull towards in the town crier report for December. So a lot of my thoughts will be there, but, you know, feeling grateful for the contributions for those who serve, and I appreciate our colleague in the first ward here who is also a veteran. And I know there's a lot, even on town staff that have, and so to serve your country and then come back and serve again means a lot to me. And knowing that, especially in times now where it's difficult for, it may be difficult to serve the country with a lot of sort of uncertainty and a lot of folks being hurt by policies that are sort of being enacted. I tried to speak to a message on how, it's the courage to do what's right, even though things are not ideal, and sort of hoping towards holding our company accountable to where our ideals really are. So that's top of mind. So I appreciate everyone who participated in that. And then obviously, with the 2-year anniversary of, sort of a horrible traffic accident that happened in front of Riverdale Park Elementary. Obviously, my thoughts and prayers are with those families, that community. I appreciate staff for sort of helping to get some bouquets that were absolutely beautiful. And I was out of town, so once I came back in, the first thing I did was pick those up and lay those at the sort of 2 memorials at Riverdale Road and Taylor, and it happened to be right at dismissal, and so it was. I don't know the words. Surreal doesn't seem to hit it, but to see such joy and laughter and kids running around and families being picked up, and it's just obviously, pickup is a chaotic time, but there was so much buzz and excitement. It's a Friday, so I'm sure people are happy that the weekend is there, and but then I also notice people staring at me as I'm carrying these bouquets kind of cut through the parking lot. And so it was this reminder that we remember, but we find ways to move on. And in some ways that's important, but in some ways we need to make sure that we never forget, and we do whatever we can to make sure that we make it less likely for it to happen again. And I know there's a lot of outreach happened, and there was a lot of people wanted to do whatever they can to participate. And so the Walk Bike Drive program was one of the things that came out of that. I know they've been super helpful in meeting a lot. I know there's some vacancies on that particular committee that we'll look to sort of fill, shortly, because it is important. We, as a town, increased our taxes to make sure there were dedicated funds to support road improvement projects, which does not happen lightly. And so I've gotten a few people who reached out of just like, what are we doing? And I know it's sometimes hard to try to explain that if there's stormwater, issues that come in and it may delay a project, like no one wants to hear that. Everyone wants to just know, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? And I get that as a father, as a community member. So it's top of mind for me. I know it's something that we'll continue to work hard on. We talk about a bunch of stuff that's on the agenda and even the rules of procedure. One of the things that it means a lot to me is making sure that we make it clear for anyone who may be in our seats, who may be thinking about running, or the community members who are thinking about what is our purpose in our job, that we make it clear that these are the types of things that we want to make sure is our focus as a default position, things that impact our community and can enrich it for the best. So with that, I will conclude my mayor's report, and happy holidays for those who celebrate. Next up, we have the town manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, a few things this evening. So wanted to talk a little bit about the Mount Rose project. And so we've worked through what we believe are any legal considerations regarding that paper road. We've had extensive discussions with Victoria Shear, who's the attorney we're utilizing on that. And we believe that we've landed at a good place, but we will require action from the mayor and council to close that road because the road technically exists, even though it's not improved. So we'll be preparing the documents and coming back to the council. My guess would be around the middle of December, as long as we get the paperwork. If not, it'll be first of the year. And similar to how we closed the alley for the tot lot, but here it's a dedicated road and it doesn't have a deed and it doesn't have deed restrictions in that. This will be a simple road closing. And then we'll work with the adjoining property owners who are currently utilizing our public road. And we'll be able to move forward there. Similarly, we're working through the town center project in terms of determining all those different rights of ways, some of which date back to 1899. And so Rodney Tissue is working through that. We did bring on a surveyor who's also an attorney to work through those issues. And that person is working with Victoria as well. But it is very complicated because you had different companies that owned rights of way. And then there were some eminent domain actions at different times. There were some bankruptcies changing different names. So we're working through all that legal stuff as we also move forward with the design. Last week, our police officers were at Riverdale Elementary School reading to the students. And it's just another way of how we work to support the community and to build trust with the community. And that's really important. And we also were supporting some food distributions in the last 2 weeks. And so we provide traffic control for those sorts of things. And we also started our annual toy collection. And every year, the need is great. This year, trying to give hope to children, that the need is greater. So this is a plug to the community. We appreciate the support that you've given us in the past in making this happen. But please, if you are able to bring some joy to a young person by dropping a new toy off, a new unwrapped toy off at the police department. They're open 24/7. Please do so. And we anticipate the list of folks that need assistance this year will be great. So anything that you're able to do. And then last but not least, we have a lot to be thankful for with the Thanksgiving holiday. And there's lots of things to fear and there's lots of uncertainty to navigate. But we also have a lot to be thankful for. And so happy Thanksgiving to the mayor and council, to everyone in the community. And here's to certainty in years ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Before we go into the ward reports, one thing I forgot to mention was on December 2nd, which is a Tuesday night, is of the District 22 Legislative Dinner, sort of hosted by Senator Washington and the District 22 delegates. This year it'll be in New Carrollton. I don't know the location, but is it there?
We'll have to publish that. It's at a hotel. It's a hotel meeting room.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just off of 450.
Okay. So we'll get the exact location and date. So we, I'm invited to come and talk with, as well as the town manager, but we do have an opportunity to bring council members as long as it's a sub quorum. So if there are two council members that are interested in participating, please feel free to reach out to me and we can coordinate. But the goal is to, before I was told this process was pretty, the delegation, the state senator will sort of go to each individual town and try to hear what your priorities are. And as we go into our next legislative session, and so this is a more efficient way of bringing everyone together and hearing at once, but then also it sort of forces everyone to hear what other people are prioritizing. And I think it's good to know not just what's most important for Riverdale Park, but also our neighboring communities as well. So if you're interested, it's a good time. I went last year, and so just let me know, and we'll coordinate. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me as well. Okay. And with that, we will go to our council reports, and as is our tradition, we will start with our first ward, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good to see everyone tonight. I first want to introduce everybody to the newest resident of Riverdale Park, and that's Cheddar Bean, who joined us in our house this past week. So very excited to welcome Cheddar Bean to Riverdale Park, and yeah, super excited about that. Want to echo the comments of the mayor on the anniversary of the deaths of Sky Sosa and Shalom Imba. It's a great, well, it's not great. It's essential that we remember as a council what we're here to do. And I think with help from staff, we've done a good job of that in the intervening time. There's, of course, more work to do. But, I know I find myself during that drop-off pickup time getting a little triggered and antsy if I see somebody being more reckless than I think is appropriate in the line. Like, don't you know what's happening here? So I think that's good, and it's good to be vigilant and good to remember that. Want to thank staff, and particularly the police department. I believe it was the weekend. Yeah, it was the weekend. I just happened to drive through town center, I think what seemed like a couple minutes after staff had, or the police department had responded to, I believe the terminology is unattended death is what we call it. No foul play or anything. Our neighborhood continues to be safe, but there were just a couple police on the scene at the time, and gradually more police came and more first responders came, and staff were incredibly responsive to questions I had about that, which were basically, hey, I see this is going on. I am not the priority, but let me know what's happening when you have a second. Certainly appreciate that. I did my best to stay out of the way, but from what I can tell, staff in the police department handled that efficiently and with respect and without disruption to, the area around where that happened, which was along Maryland Avenue. So, certainly not a good thing. The time comes for all of us, and fortunately that was that day for one individual, but I'm glad to hear there was no foul play and that our police could respond to that with, the respect and efficiency that it demanded. So thank you for that. Similarly, thanks to staff for appropriately prioritizing issues with the maintenance of our clock in town center, which continues to run a little bit behind. We, of course, want to keep that up to date as much as we can and on time, but those big clocks, the maintenance can get expensive, and there's a lot of other things going on in town, so we can't afford to necessarily and shouldn't prioritize expensive maintenance on a pretty clock, as pretty as it is and as much as I like it. There's other things going on, so I appreciate the efforts to continually keep that on time the best we can while we take care of other things. And lastly, on the staff note, thanks staff for the innovative thinking on addressing hunger and nutritional assistance in our community. Continue to be impressed and amazed at, when our community experiences challenges, not just the the, responding as we have before, which is effective and fantastic, but constantly coming up with new ways to support our community and ensure folks have assistance that they need to the extent that we can provide it. With that note, since we last met here, I don't want to sort of catalog a litany of immigration enforcement incidents that have happened. Those operations continue. One thing that I do want to point to is that in several cases, different places across the country, from Chicago to LA to even Virginia, courts have found that several aspects of those operations are in fact illegal, from the detentions to the response to protective activity from demonstrators and clergy and other folks. Those have been found to be illegal, and ICE and DHS folks have been reprimanded and pointed out that they were actively lying to federal judges, which is a big no-no, as you would probably imagine. So I think it's important that we consider that just because this is happening doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't mean it's legal. And these folks are actively violating the law in service to an agenda that we know to be disruptive and hateful. And on that note, it has been reported that ICE plans to target over the holidays, specifically places of worship, which has long been a no-no. That, it was just, we don't do that. Schools, churches, things like that have been considered sort of sanctuaries where folks can go and handle things they need to do. That's not the case with this administration. So to the extent resources permit, I hope we can provide some, not sure what the word is, visibility, I guess, from PD around those areas over the holidays as folks are gathering. Like I say, resources allowing. I know that it's a busy time. Police are trying to take off for their families as well, just like all of us. But as resources permit, I think that would be helpful for the community. And with that, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Smith. Councilmember Foe, Ward 2.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to reiterate the town manager's words about Thanksgiving. It has been a tremendously difficult time over the last couple of months for my family. And what we chose to do over this past weekend was get together as soon as possible to be grateful for what it is that we had, what it is that we've lost, and to just share in those times. And I am remarkably grateful that I have that opportunity to do that. I just think it's a priority that we recognize that the best time to communicate with our loved ones, even if we're having difference, is right now, because time is not guaranteed. And we should celebrate those bonds that bind us. I hope that all of you have a remarkable time over the holidays, getting to spend time with loved ones. It is the most valuable time that we can spend. And I truly just want to be grateful for what it is that we have and what it is that we've lost. So I hope everybody has a remarkable holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Lingwood, Ward 3.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Two events that I was able to do over the past few weeks. One being last Monday and the other one being on Thursday. I'll start with the latter date first. Thursday morning, on my way in to when I was going to work, I was able to stop and have some words with Ms. Sosa as she was up at the light poles, putting up memorials both for her son and for Shalom Ba, as their families since left the neighborhood. But she remembers Shalom as much as she remembers Sky. We had a few words together, and then I was on my way. Monday night in Greenbelt, and I'll come back to that. I attended the C-Car meeting for the Purple Line stop up here at Kenilworth and 410, the elevated stop, for what it was the second working group from the one that was previously in May for that underside area and what they would like to see there. Brief visit from Senator Washington, as well as also there was County Council Member Eric Olson, Ann Healy, Delegate Ann Healy, as well. An aide for Shanti Martinez was there as well, taking notes. And it was a continuing discussion regarding what folks would, how they would like to see that developed. Talking also some about, in just different ways, activity and programming, safety, setup, things of that nature. I thought it was productive. I thought it was a good event. I also ran into Steve Hardig there, and he brought up, as he had sent to us in emails, and we discussed briefly, the idea about widening that stretch of Riverdale Road on the south side of Riverdale Road, along that area, which would be next to the eastbound lane. As Steve pointed out, and as we see when we go by there, that while there is a sidewalk there, it seems that folks will also use more than the sidewalk to get to and from. And he brought up again the idea about, what would it be for the town to consider widening that in terms of being able to use that right of way, being able, would there be any, is there any encroachment upon what the commercial properties have, essentially along that stretch going up to towards Kenilworth, as well as down toward the bridge. I said, I was aware of his email, and I'd been through that area, and I can see how that could work in parts, but some parts might have to take some extra consideration. But I said, I would bring it up before staff and before the body. Hopefully I was going to do it sooner, but events at work precluded that. So I'm bringing it up here again for us to think about over the longer term, to see about what's possible. And I think that's one thing that I appreciate about this body. It's always willing to consider, what's possible. And I think that's something that'll serve us well. I said I'd come back to it. That's the point that Greenbelt. I'm attending a meeting about something that's for our community, and I'm up in Greenbelt. My understanding was that there was no other space available that CCAR could use to be able to meet, to which now I'm going to ask the question of staff, at what point are we looking at being able to have a permanent UNO for this building? And that would be my question to the staff, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if I'm expecting an answer right now, but I would hope over the next few days that would be made available to us. I know this has been a very long project. I know that it has been very thoroughly approached. Yet at the same time, when I'm seeing that we have groups in this community who are having to look outside of town to be able to hold a meeting that is for the benefit of this community, it just gives me pause to wonder, what could be possible again, and what can be made available. And with that, I will conclude my report.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mr. Town Manager.
Councilmember Langwa, thanks for bringing that to our attention. I just consulted with the deputy town manager. We are unaware of any request to utilize the space by CCAR. Had we been asked, the answer would have been yes. So the same as we are here tonight, we could host a meeting here
Okay.
under the temporary UNO, and we
Okay.
would have done so had
Okay.
we been asked.
Well,
If she asked, or if they asked a member of staff and were told no, that's something we need to know. So we will reach out to CCAR in the morning and ask who it is they contacted.
okay.
But yes, we certainly would have welcomed that meeting here. And in reference to when we hope to get this finalized, we're waiting on a new component to the fire alarm system.
Mhm.
And so as soon as we have that, then we can have the final inspections.
Okay.
But we certainly would have had CCAR here, sir.
I did bring up with Ally O'Neill, who's working with this group and is one of the main movers on this, to reach out to staff next time if they're looking to, if they need a space,
Yes.
to ask. Because I told you, it never does hurt to ask. So what I was conveying is what I was told. I was unawares that, there was no outreach to the town. My assumption was when they said there was no place for us, my assumption was that had occurred.
Yeah.
So,
At least the two of us are unaware, but
Okay.
but we will reach out to CCAR and make sure we have better communication in that regard.
Okay. And Mr. Mayor, if I may add one small item, if that's possible.
Sure.
And that is, I did have a chance to chat with Councilmember Olson, and I did mention the puzzling situation we found ourselves with DPI regarding us looking for certain information, and the response being that we were to file a FOIA request. When I mentioned that to him, he looked very puzzled, and he's like, "Well, just get me whatever you can on this." And I said, "Okay." And I wanted to bring that up to you. If you wanted to assemble a package of correspondences and let them know when they would be available, I can be happy to come and pick them up and personally deliver them to the county councilman if you would like. And if that would be okay with members of the council.
Yes, I think that was for a fence permit that we've already sort of approved and went through the process on that,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, that involved a fence permit.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of back and forth. The county did comply with our MPIA request.
Okay. I think the council member was just kind of confounded that it had to come to an MPIA request to just get something done. So, and I think I said to him, I said, "Please, let me get you the full background so you can read it and then be informed when you go and approach
We'll
others."
be happy to put together something.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Director Shelton, if you can put together a timeline and in terms of how that unfolded.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember and Town Manager and Director Shelton. Ward 4, Councilmember Warsnott.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Apologies that I can't be there in person. Under the weather, but it's good to see all of you. Going to keep this short as a result. I just want to thank staff for all of your work on the Farmers Market Plus program and other efforts to help assist the community. And related to that, just also want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. We continue to be in trying times, as everyone has been alluding to, and I am grateful for town staff and our mayor and fellow council members for everyone's commitment to the community. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Thank you, Councilmember. And last, we'll go to Councilmember Colon, Ward 6.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm thinking about the Veterans Day. It's a very sorrowful day, but a lot of people don't understand. My uncle told me that in 1949, Her Majesty the Queen sent message in all West African countries to provide people to go and help them to fight in Burma. the place they call today Myanmar. So, in my own town, it's 5 of people. My grandpa provide 5 people. They all went to Boma. They went there, they fought. They fought, they fought, they fought. Finally, the cause of that war, the lady that was bombing the Allied ships is a Japanese lady. She was on top of a mountain as a sophisticated weapon. Any Allied ship, they're going to bomb it. Belong to the British. So one of our district member in my own district, he said, you know what? This lady, I'm going after her. They said, how are you going to cross this water, this river, to go up that mountain? He told them, say, don't worry. He broke a lot of leaves, tie himself inside the leaf, and jump into the river. The river drift him until the other end he crossed. He go around the mountain. The lady was serious, sending bomb. He just come behind her, put her on the gunpoint, arrest her. That was the end of the Burma War. So they explained to us when they came. You see, the day they went at Burma, they were not formally trained. They say while the sergeant major was talking to them, they just heard bang, one of their sergeants die before them. See, from there, nobody trained nobody. So that's why whenever they say Veterans Day, I will always think about this, their explanation. By then we are young, they explain to us how dangerous war is. My grandfather told us, he said, any of your children like to fight can never have asset. Any of your children like to fight can never have asset. He said, because whenever he went to fight, everything that he had, maybe he going to be arrested by the police or whatever, he's going to spend all what he have. So that day, when we were there with the mayor and other council members and the deputy town manager and other staffs, I was thinking about this word all the time, how dangerous war is. But people don't know. They just say, oh, let's go there and fight them. Let's this. War is not good. It's not good for anybody. No winner in the war. So this, what is very important for this Veterans Day, you will think about those who lose their life over there, those who were damaged, those who return. When you see some of them, you will want to cry. So that's why I'm in support of the veterans. I'm always in support of them because what they have undergone is not easy. Well, I think 2 weeks ago, I see the town manager and somebody at 54th place. They look in that playground. Yes, but I have no time to stop because I was in a hurry. So have you seen the place now? No toilet facility, and the gate, they break the gates, Mr. Town Manager. Have you seen what I said the last time? So I don't know. What are we going to do of that place? So number 2, do please talk to the PEPCO people to come and complete this place, Mr. Town Manager and the Deputy Town Manager. Thank you. I stop there so far. Bye.
Thank you, Council Member. And for your words and your comments. I think in terms of the only other thing was just around the top lot gate, if that's any damage to that, if the town staff is aware of that.
Yes, unfortunately, we had some vandalism again with the fencing being broken. And Director Lewis met last week with the fence company. And in addition to affecting the repair in the immediate, we're going to start keeping parts in stock. So as the fence gets damaged, DPW staff will be able to go out and replace sections. It's unfortunate, but it's happened quite a few times now. And so we will continue to respond to that. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, on the Pepco lights, Director Lewis will prepare an email for me to then send to the whole council. But it's my understanding Pepco has installed some lights at Spring Lane, and it's just not given us the desired result. They're still very dark over there. So we're talking about proposing to fund a project in the upcoming year to add some additional lights in addition to what Pepco has done.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. And council, thank you all for your reports. And with that, we are at the end of our agenda. And so therefore we can adjourn. So thank you all, 9:02. Our work session is done for the day. Happy Thanksgiving for everyone. Safe travels for those who are traveling.